hopefully it captures everything. So we'll start with modernism, and then if we still have time, then we'll move on to stream of consciousness, even though dono, okay, this will keep on going, I think, for some time. Also, is there anyone who doesn't understand Hindi? Because I speak both the languages while teaching. If someone does not understand Hindi, that is also that is all right, because I'll repeat whatever I'm saying again as well in English. So that won't be an issue. If you are unable to understand anything, if you have any doubts, you can again always post it in the comment box. All right, so let's begin. How many of you have already read, studied modernism, or have read, studied any modernist text? Yes, one, two. You've not read Virginia Woolf or yeah, Runjan. Okay, some of you have, some of you are familiar with it, some of you might be hearing the term for the first time. Now, see, literature, especially British and English literature, is classified into multiple ages. Now, modernist age is something that always stands out. Even जब मैं syllabus में भी पढ़ रही थी, ये वाली बुक्स जब सिलेबस में आई, या ये वाला पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक जब सिलेबस में आया, इट स्टूड आउट टू मी. इट फेल्ट वेरी डिफरेंट. इट फेल्ट वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम all that I had read before. Victorian literature, romantic literature, Gothic literature. Of course, everything has its own defining features and everything has its thematic different themes that it focuses on. But modernist poetry and modernist literature just striked as very different to me. कि ये तो मैं कुछ अलग ही पढ़ रही हूँ. These are certain novels that I'll always remember for being very, very, very experimental, very different. And जिस तरीके से नैरेट हो रही हैं, जिस तरीके के थीम्स को वो टच कर रही हैं, जिस तरीके से स्टोरी प्रोग्रेस हो रही है, everything was extremely different. So different was the first word that came to my mind when I studied modernist literature. All right. Can you, let me just share the presentation. I'm a little bit distracted because of the music, so just bear with me as I bear with this. So, and do let me know if you can see the presentation. Okay. Can any one of you just unmute your mic and tell me if you're able to see the presentation?
Yes, we are able to.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, you're able to see it. Okay. So what comes to your mind when you hear the word modern? I'll just come back to your responses to the meeting. When I say the word modern, give me one word. What comes to your mind? You can type it in the comment box. New, right? What else? Avant-garde, okay. Out of the league, all right. Unconventional, fresh. You can give very ordinary answers as well, different from the old, different from what has been followed in the past. These are okay. Rational, okay. What else? Experimental. So you're already quite aware of what it was about. So even if we talk about in common parlance, when someone says that something is very modern, the first few words that come to our mind is, okay, it is something new, different, experimental. I've not seen something like this before. Also, when we talk about, for example, you visit a modern art gallery, ना लोग अक्सर बोलते हैं मॉडर्न आर्ट समझ से बाहर होता है, राइट? कि इस पेंटिंग में ऐसा क्या है, ये पेंटिंग इतने रुपए की क्यों है, ये स्कल्पचर इतने रुपए का क्यों है, क्योंकि इसमें हमें तो समझ ही नहीं आ रहा है इसमें खास बात क्या है, right? That's how people talk about modern art. So it is also beyond, I would say, one's common understanding or the way someone has conventionally or traditionally understood the world around them. So it is distortion, it is experimentation, avant-garde, of course, again trying something extremely new that has not been explored in the past. So these are certain things that come to our mind the moment we hear the word modern. All right. So modernism was a movement that shook up previous conventions and traditions in much of pre-20th century music, painting, literature, and architecture. So this movement was, of course, not limited to just literature. It began, and it was not one watertight movement कि यहाँ ऐसे start हुआ या ये. It started in Vienna, and then the after currents were felt everywhere. Someone's mic is on. Can you please just mute it? Yeah, kindly check if your mic is on and just mute it. Okay. So, in all the arts touched by modernism, what had been the most fundamental elements of practice were challenged and rejected. तो जिस भी चीज़ से आप सबसे ज़्यादा जो rules हैं, जो conventions है, जो formula है, formulaic art से we are moving away now. They were put aside, for example, melody and harmony were put aside in music, perspective and direct pictorial presentation were abandoned in painting, and grand architecture was rejected in favor of plain geometrical forms. So, this is a good way to understand it. Yeah, I'll come back here. So when we talk about architecture is a good way to understand it, right? तो पहले के जो हमारे घर होते थे, do you remember them be having like huge pillars, आंगन, even जो छत थी उसमें बहुत intricate detailing होती थी. They were very grand, है ना? There was a certain element of grandiosity to all of them. हर चीज में एक detailing होती थी. अगर तुम pillars पे भी देखोगे तो उस पे कोई flower का वो बना रहता था, और everything had that element of grandeur. लेकिन मॉडर्न हाउसेस जो होते हैं, आजकल के जो हमारे घर हैं, दे आर वेरी डिफरेंट, राइट? दे लुक लाइक बॉक्सेस ऑलमोस्ट. दे आर मच मोर सिंप्लीफाइड एंड ऑफ कोर्स दे आर एक्सपेरिमेंटल. आप कई बिल्डिंग्स देखोगे, दे डोंट इवन लुक लाइक बिल्डिंग्स, राइट? कहीं से कुछ एक एंगल, मतलब एक एंगल तो नहीं, एक कुछ ज़्यादा लंबा है, देन समथिंग इज स्मॉलर, एंड देन कहीं से एंट्री है, कहीं से एग्जिट है, कोई फिक्स पैटर्न फॉलो नहीं कर रहा है. तो मॉडर्न आर्किटेक्चर भी ऐसा है, मॉडर्न म्यूजिक भी ऐसा है, मॉडर्न पेंटिंग्स की अभी हम बात करेंगे. वील अंडरस्टैंड द मॉडर्न एज through paintings and through movements that did emerge through paintings to understand modernism in literature as well. But architecture is also a good example. कि आप पहले के घर सोचो अपने दिमाग में और फिर आजकल के घर सोचो, तो उनमें क्या डिफरेंसेस हमें नजर आते हैं कि वो उतने ग्रैंड नहीं है, दे आर सिंपलर, दे आर मोर एक्सपेरिमेंटल, दे आर मोर इनोवेटिव, एंड दे डू नॉट फॉलो वन सेट पैटर्न ऑफ what a house should look like, right? So literature is also similar in that regard. I hope you're able to follow it till now, जितना हमने डिस्कस किया है, and that you're not bored. Yeah. Okay. Let's move further. जैसे आजकल मतलब avant-garde क्योंकि वर्ड यूज किया, avant-garde इज समथिंग वेरी न्यू एंड एक्सपेरिमेंटल इन एनी फॉर्म ऑफ आर्ट. तो कई बार क्या होता है, आई रिमेंबर द सीरीज इफ यू वॉच्ड इट इन द मार्वलस मिसेस मेजल. So I give this example to describe avant-garde often. So there's this female comic and her husband goes up on stage and he absolutely bombs. And it is the context of the series, it is situated or it is placed in the modern era in the 1920s 30s, and then their friends are sitting and he bombs terribly. His set is, it just does not work out well for him. And then the friend of the wife says that, oh, it seems very avant-garde, कि मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है क्या फनी था इसमें, so it must be something very experimental that people will come to terms with later. Maybe they'll understand the genius of this particular comedy set later on, because for now it is very new and experimental. And this happened to a lot of modern art and literature. It did not make sense to people immediately, but of course with time, today we have learned to appreciate it because we understand, we contextualize it कि इस तरीके का आर्ट क्यों बना था. For example, I never understood modern paintings. I looked at them and I also wondered that, okay, how am I supposed to make sense of it? But that's the thing, you don't have to make sense. Life doesn't always make sense. Life doesn't work in such with such perfection. Life doesn't. So when art is mimicking life, so when life doesn't follow one perspective, one linear pattern, it doesn't have any fixed meanings, then how can we expect art to do the same? So this was the argument that the modernists were also giving with through their art, and the revolt that they were conducting through their art. Okay. Favor in plain geometrical forms. Why abandon tradition? So this could be a question that might come in your mind कि ज़रूरत क्या पड़ी? Why the modern age? Why produce such art which is so different, which is so new, which is very, very even weird at times, absurd? So first, modernism was a response to industrialization, urbanization, and shifts brought about by modern life. Artists and writers sought new ways to capture the fragmented, fast-paced nature of modern life. As I said, कि अगर हर आर्ट का या फिर हर जो भी एज रहती है उसके बैकग्राउंड का उसके ऊपर पूरी तरीके से इम्पैक्ट होता है, राइट? इन द रोमांटिक एज, बिकॉज ऑफ द फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन एंड द इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन, द पोएट्री वॉज अ रिवोल्ट अगेंस्ट सच रैपिड paced life and such selfish motives that people started living their lives according to. And there was a call back to humanity, to nature, to um, innocence, to childhood. Similarly, this time was a time, of course, world war and all of that, I'll discuss it later. But rapid industrialization और urbanization में people were finding themselves extremely alienated. वो जो एक community वाली feeling थी, those that was vanishing. धीरे धीरे वो डिटेरियोरेट हो रही थी. तो ह्यूमन बींग्स हैड दिस फीलिंग ऑफ बीइंग abandoned, being alienated, of not being understood, and of course a lot of anchors that they previously had did not exist anymore, religion being one of the most important one of them. So they often found themselves questioning that what is this life, where are we, what is humanity, what are our relationships with each other, why are we here, what is happening. So all of these questions became pertinent in the romantic age. Let's come back to this. Yeah. There were also philosophical and psychological shifts brought about by thinkers like Nietzsche, Descartes, Hegel and Hume. So, of course, जब हम ये सारे सवाल हमारे दिमाग में आ रहे हैं तो और लोगों के भी दिमाग में आए. तो this was the time when these absurdist, existential, nihilistic philosophies were on the rise, and of course, with Freud and his work on psychology, there was a lot of interest in the psychological landscape, in people's mental landscape, which is why interior lives became as important as exterior lives. तो सोच पर और philosophy पर बहुत ज़्यादा focus होने लगा इस time पर. So now such questions are being asked which perhaps either did not cross people's mind or were not discussed on the same level before. Now these questions of what is our, what does our existence mean, and why were we born, how will we die, if our beginning and end is already fixed, then what is our purpose on this earth, who governs us, who holds us together, what is the glue holding the social fabric together. All of these questions became pertinent. And of course, if you've read any of the modern literature, you'll understand that it is very very psychological. पहले के अगर आप इससे जस्ट पहले जो विक्टोरियन नॉवेल्स हैं उनसे अगर आप कंपेयर करते हो, यू विल सी विक्टोरियन नॉवेल्स वुड फोकस मोर ऑन द पीपल. एलिजाबेथ है, जैसे प्राइड एंड प्रेजुडिस का एलिजाबेथ है, डार्सी है, उनके बीच में क्या चल रहा है और सोसाइटी का उस पर क्या रिएक्शन है, या फिर हाउ इज दैट स्टोरी प्रोग्रेसिंग, दैट बिकेम मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट. बट नाउ इन द मॉडर्न एज उनके दिमाग में क्या चल रहा है उसकी एक एक बारीकी को एक्सप्लोर किया जाएगा. और ये तभी पॉसिबल है व्हेन देयर इज अ लार्जर बैकग्राउंड टू इट. सो पीपल डू अंडरस्टैंड कि ये शिफ्ट तो हुआ है कि एक्सटीरियर लैंडस्केप से ज़्यादा अब इंटरनल मेंटल लैंडस्केप भी इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया है. बट ये हुआ क्यों? क्योंकि इस तरीके के वर्क्स लिखे जा रहे थे वेयर पीपल वर थिंकिंग अ लॉट एंड पीपल वर actually exploring the interior landscape of the mind, and that is exhibited in the novels of this period as well. Sons and Lovers में भी पूरा Oedipus complex explore होता है. Of course there are other aspects to it as well. The Lighthouse में, Waves में, and even in Mrs. Dalloway, it is an exploration of what goes on in the character's mind more than what the character's actions are. तो जितना important ये है, जैसे I give this example often, जैसे अगर मेरे को एक सेंटेंस लिखना है जहाँ पे आई एम टेलिंग सो माई कैरेक्टर ए वर्क्स फ्रॉम पॉइंट 1 to पॉइंट 2, तो पहले की नॉवेल्स में शायद उसी पे गौर किया जाता कि जो एक्टर है वो पॉइंट 1 से पॉइंट 2 तक चल के गया, फिर पॉइंट 2 से पॉइंट 3 पर गया, पॉइंट 3 पे वो इससे मिला, उसके बाद फिर ये हुआ, राइट? बट नाउ व्हेन यू आर वर्किंग फ्रॉम पॉइंट 1 to पॉइंट 2, उस पूरे दौरान आपके दिमाग में क्या 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 चला, फिर जो सामने से कोई आया तो उसका आपके दिमाग पर क्या इम्पैक्ट हुआ, एवरीथिंग विल बी रिकॉर्डेड, एवरीथिंग विल फाइंड इट्स प्लेस इन योर वर्क. जब हम स्ट्रीम ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस डिस्कस करेंगे तब आई विल टॉक अबाउट दिस अगेन. So you're following me till now? Clear? So modernization, industrialization being one of the reasons, then fast-paced life, people finding themselves alienated, people finding themselves questioning everything. That was one of the reasons. Second reason is a piqued interest in philosophy and psychology because of these thinkers. Now let's move on to the third point, which is, one second. Yeah, earlier forms didn't seem fit enough to hold the magnitude of human thought and emotion in the modern age. Innovations like electricity, automobiles, and photography changed perceptions of time, space, and reality. The devastation of World War One and later World War Two shattered faith in old institutions, prompting artists and writers to reflect on themes of alienation, loss, and the breakdown of meaning. So, World War is a very very important factor in the modern age, क्योंकि इस मैग्नीट्यूड पर, इस लेवल पर कुछ होता हुआ पहले नहीं देखा गया था, राइट? इट वॉज अनप्रेसिडेंटेड एंड इट वॉज अनइमेजिनेबल फॉर पीपल. सो नाउ लेट मी गिव यू एन एग्जाम्पल. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, यू इमेजिन योर सेल्फ इन देयर प्लेस, ठीक है? इससे पहले के जो राइटिंग्स हो रहे हैं, जो आपने पढ़ा है विक्टोरियन लिटरेचर तक, पोएट्री का एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं हम. सो इफ वी टेक द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ पोएट्री, एक कन्वेंशन में आपको लिखना है. आप लिरिक पोएट्री लिख रहे हो, या आप सोनेट्स लिख रहे हो, या फिर आप एलिजी लिख रहे हो, या फिर आप एक ड्रामेटिक मोनोलॉग लिख रहे हो. देयर वाज, राइट, अ सेट, देयर वर सेट ट्रेडिशंस दैट दिस इज व्हाट आई एम राइटिंग. And then you experience something, or you see something like the world war happening, and you want to express what you're feeling. Ek to you will not be able to make sense of what you're feeling, right? The impact of it is such. उसके बाद क्या आप अपने इमोशंस को एक सर्टन सेट फॉर्मेट में कंटेन कर पाओगे? जो भी फील हो रहा है, कैन यू इमेजिन? यू हैव टू अगेन नॉट एम्पथाइज, बट यू हैव टू थिंक what was going on in the mind of people back then. तो मेरे दिमाग में हजार सवाल एक साथ चल रहे. आई एम अनेबल टू मेक सेंस ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, कि अगर गॉड एग्जिस्ट करता है तो ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है, और कल पता नहीं मैं जिंदा रहूंगी या नहीं रहूंगी. देन what are human relations worth, what is love, what is brotherhood, all of these questions, and then I'm trying to make sense of it through my art. Will my art be able to follow any sort of convention? क्या मैं 14 लाइन्स के अंदर, एक सोनेट के अंदर क्वार्टरेन वार्टरेन फॉलो करने बैठूंगी when I'm trying to write about something that is so epochal, that is something that has completely shaken me up? For example, if you're writing, you take any such case that completely shook you up. For example, if I talk about the Nirbhaya case, so if I want to make sense of it through my art and I want to write something, will I first sit and think कि मैं sonnet लिखूं, या मैं elegy लिखूं, या मैं lyric poetry लिखूं, या मैं ballad लिखूं? It's not possible, because what you are trying to come to terms to holds such magnitude and is so difficult to put into thought and to put into meaning. तो पोएट्री में तो उसको आपको डालने के लिए कन्वेंशन से परे जाना ही पड़ेगा, बिकॉज नाउ इट इज मोर अबाउट एक्सप्रेसिंग रादर देन इम्प्रेसिंग others. You're not writing just for an audience, you're not writing just for critics, but you're also writing for yourself, and you're writing to express yourself, you're writing to come to terms with your reality. And when you're trying to come to terms with reality, you will not get stuck up in these conventions, you will try to break them, because you are as broken. When your reality is fragmented, when you are completely shaken up from inside, your art will also show those same cracks, right? When there is no pattern to life, when there is no linearity to life, when there is no meaning to life, then art will also be reflective of the same. All right, so let's, yeah, I think अगर आप ये दो quotes, okay, where was I? Yeah, so these are quotes that always come to my mind. These are, there can be no poetry after Auschwitz, which was a quote by Theodore Adorno. And these lines I've taken from The Wasteland. A crowd flowed over London Bridge, so many, I had not thought death had undone so many. What do you think these lines mean? There can be no poetry after Auschwitz. What is your understanding of it? Why do you think he said that? Does anyone want to? Yeah, yes, Shobna.
Maybe what he wants to say, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Maybe what he wants to say is that, how can you possibly write like how the Romantics did? How can you possibly speak about human nature in a normal, like forget about romanticizing it. How can you even speak about it in a normal way after the incidents that happened in Germany after the Holocaust and everything?
Yeah, so
That's
like,
what I make out of it. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. That how can you in because poetry has that essence of romanticizing things, using metaphors, using imagery, using symbolism. But how can you do that after something like the Holocaust has happened, after something like the World War has happened? There can be no poetry. Maybe prose is more fitting because it depicts things as they are. Maybe that is a more fitting form. So again, form and genres also came to be challenged because there was not one kind of there could not be watertight compartments कि मैं इसको नॉवल लिखूंगा और इसको मैं पोएट्री के फॉर्म में लिखूंगा. वो भी ज़रूरी हो गया कि जॉनर्स को भी अब बेंड किया जाए, क्योंकि अगर मुझे पोएट्री लिखनी है तो ज़रूरी अब मैं अब हर इमोशन को राइम में तो नहीं डाल सकती हूँ, मीटर में तो नहीं डाल सकती हूँ. तो this is the reason why he said, because it's not possible to write about things in such a poetic manner. Maybe prose would be a more fitting form for this, because it's not possible to romanticize or look at things with these and present them in such flowery language, because what has happened is will not you cannot do justice to it with poetry. And then, of course, these lines by Eliot: a crowd flowed over London Bridge, so many, I had not thought death had undone so many. So I put this in just so it will make you remember that what the impact of the war was and how people were coming to terms to it through their art. Art became a way of negotiating with reality. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, so now I will be talking about four major movements in art in the 20th century. First one is Dadaism. Dadaism expressed their discontent with violence, war, and nationalism, and were close to the radical far left. The whole point behind Dadaism was to prove that anything could be art if the artist declared it to be. This was to prove that if everything could be art, then nothing could be art. The outrage many artists as Dadaism deemed their labor-intensive artworks meaningless. The art of the movement spanned visual, literary, and sound media, including collage, sound poetry, cut-up writing, and sculpture. Yes, so how can you trace the influence of Dadaism in literature as well? Do you see any influence? One, of course, important thing is that it challenges what art really is. What are the conventions of art? If I put two things together, if I cut up, if I cut up four paintings and I put them together, that is also art, because art is extremely subjective. So subjectivity became important, and multiple interpretations became important, and a challenge was posed to what is considered art. So painting mein Dadaism is, I think even the name comes from like how a child speaks. It is going back to your primal self. Dada is the first words that comes out of a baby's mouth. So they're going back to the primality of being, and that how everything can be art if you mean it to be. So there is no strict parameter to judge what is art and what is not. जो argument आज तक भी चलता है. If I paint something, you've also seen that painting where, not painting, that art, what do you call it, where a banana is taped on the wall and then it apparently got sold for some $1 million. So now, what are the parameters of judging what is art? So that is one question that became important. What is art? What are the traditions? Who decides tradition? And what is art supposed to do? And how do you even decide that this is art and this is nonsense? So those distinctions became blurry. Art and nonsense, highbrow, lowbrow, those distinctions became extremely blurry. Now let's move on to the second, which is surrealism. So surrealism, of course, again a very psychologically driven movement, that depiction of illogical or dreamlike scenes and ideas. Its intention was, according to André Breton, to resolve the previously contradictory conditions of dream and reality into an absolute reality, a super reality or surreality. It produces works of painting, writing, theatre, filmmaking, photography, and other media as well. Then, yes, one second, let me come back. So surrealism, expression not just of expression not just of the conscious but also of the subconscious, of what goes on in our mind when we are not aware of it. This again you see seeping into literature, this element of surrealism, a super reality, where reality is not just what you are experiencing every day, but also so not just what your conscious mind is experiencing, but also what your subconscious or unconscious mind is experiencing. तो कैरेक्टर्स के उसमें भी आप देखते हो कि कभी कभी वो कुछ ऐसा सोच रहे हैं, कभी कभी वो कुछ ऐसा कर रहे हैं, which you when you undertake a psychoanalytic reading, you will realize that this is not her conscious mind at work, this is her subconscious mind at work. तो साइकोलॉजी का इन्फ्लुएंस हमने देखा पेंटिंग पे, पेंटिंग में सरियलिज्म है, वेयर अगेन ब्लरिंग ऑफ डिस्टिंक्शंस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन मॉडर्निज्म. दिस रप्चर, अगर एक पूरा एक स्ट्रक्चर रहा है आर्ट और लिटरेचर मॉडर्निज्म से पहले, तो नाउ इट इज ऑल कमिंग डाउन टू द ग्राउंड, सब कुछ जमीन पे आ गया है. नाउ अगेन ये डिस्टिंक्शन बिटवीन मॉडर्निज्म और पोस्ट मॉडर्निज्म भी आप समझ सकते हो. सो नाउ एवरीथिंग इज ऑन द ग्राउंड. तो मॉडर्निस्ट आर लेमेंटिंग दैट कि ओके, all the structures are on the ground, everything has been reduced to rubble, and now how do we make sense of things. While the postmodernists, जो इनके बाद आए obviously, how they look at it is okay, so now everything is broken, there is no convention, we have all the possibilities in the world, now we can build it any way we want. So while the modernists mourn the loss of structures and traditions and conventions and having anchors and guiding forces, postmodernists celebrate it, they see it as a way of freedom कि ठीक है अब हम कुछ भी कर सकते हैं क्योंकि अब कोई conventions, boundaries, guiding forces तो है नहीं, so now we are free to do whatever we want. So this is one distinction between modernism and postmodernism. Anyway, coming back to modernism, where was I? I've lost my stream of thought. Yeah. Anyway, someone wants to join. Okay. Anyway, let me go back. Surrealism. Yeah. So again, blurring between reality and dream, between rationality and the irrational, between the conscious and the subconscious. Surrealist art is very interesting. आप लोगों ने देखा होगा. Again, it is extremely nonsensical, but it is still art. It is weird and it shocks you. Again, there is a between, as I said, rationality, irrationality. There is a painting which you can Google. You'll find it. So there's a banana peel. There's another banana peel. They're standing, और इससे जैसे वो बनाते हैं ना, what is it called? A hammock kind of thing. Yeah. And on it there is lying a banana. So it's weird art. I don't know how to explain it, but it is an expression, again a way of expression. It is a way of challenging conventions and realities. So surrealism becomes another important movement that influenced this age. Now let's look at Cubism. Of course, Picasso is one of the pioneers of this movement. Avant-garde art movement that began in Paris, that revolutionized painting and the visual arts, then also influenced music, ballet, and architecture. So now just take a look at this painting. What stands out to us as and what is important for us as literature students is perspective. तो अगर कोई painting हम देखते हैं, just give me 1 second. Yes, so now there are always multiple ways of looking at anything. Yeah, 1 second. So there are multiple ways of looking at something. For example, if I am the subject, right? So if someone is sitting in front of me, they will have one view of me. But someone sitting here will have another view, someone sitting here will have another view, someone sitting at the back will have another view. And if someone is maybe hanging from the ceiling, they'll have another view. So now, which view is real? Which view is reality? So that is also another way of negotiating with reality, that there are always multiple perspectives of looking at anything. So Cubist art, as you can see here, it is looking at a woman from from the front, but also sideways, और दोनों को मिला के combine कर दिया, दोनों perspectives को merge कर दिया है. Now ये literature में कैसे function होगा? If you've read Dalloway, again I'll give the example of Dalloway again because it's firstly one of my favorite novels and it's one of the finest examples of modernism. So now उस novel में you will see there's a woman walking down the street. So now जो हम देख रहे हैं, हम पहले दुनिया उसके पर्सपेक्टिव से देख रहे हैं जब वो चलकर जा रही है. उसके बाद देन देयर इज अ सडन शिफ्ट और नेक्स्ट पैराग्राफ में देयर इज अनदर वुमन सिटिंग ऑन द पार्क बेंच एंड नाउ वी आर लुकिंग एट द सेम पार्क और सेम स्ट्रीट वेयर शी वाज वॉकिंग थ्रू हर पर्सपेक्टिव. तो पहले क्या होता है किसी भी नॉवल में, एक ही पर्सपेक्टिव, देयर इज अ प्रिविलेज्ड पर्सपेक्टिव, या एक ही पर्सपेक्टिव है जिसके थ्रू हमें नॉवल दिखाई जाएगी कि ये नैरेटर है, फर्स्ट पर्सन या थर्ड पर्सन नैरेटर है और ये हमें बताएगा कि स्टोरी कैसे चल रही है. लेकिन मॉडर्निस्ट लिटरेचर में और मॉडर्निस्ट आर्ट में वो पर्सपेक्टिव्स दे कम टुगेदर एंड वी सी मल्टीपल पर्सपेक्टिव्स इन द सेम नॉवल. जैसे एंड आई वाज गिविंग again, this example. I can give you an example. For example, you're you're on a date, okay, and you're sitting across someone. So now there are two perspectives that this date can be told from. One is my perspective, and the other is the person who I'm on a date with, his perspective. अब मेरे पर्सपेक्टिव बिल्कुल अलग हो सकता है, उसका पर्सपेक्टिव बिल्कुल अलग हो सकता है. तो एक नॉवल मैं लिख सकती हूँ, एक नॉवल वो लिख सकता है. उसके अलावा क्या हो सकता है, वेटर का पर्सपेक्टिव, वेटर अपने आप में एक नॉवल लिख सकता है. उसके अलावा मेरे साइड में कोई बैठा है, उसका पर्सपेक्टिव वो अपने आप में एक नॉवल हो सकती है. लेकिन मॉडर्निस्ट नॉवल क्या करेगी, इन सबसे पैसेजेस लेगी और इन सबको कंबाइन कर देगी. अब इसी सेम सीन को हम मल्टीपल व्यू पॉइंट से देखेंगे. ऑलराइट, सो यू कैन, do I have an example? No, no, I'm confusing things. So this multiplicity or multiplicity of narratorial points of view is again an important theme of modernist art and literature and modernist art and literature. All right, let's move ahead. Futurism. So these are four important movements that will help you remember, and you can reference them while explaining modernism. Futurism emphasizes dynamism, speed, technology, youth, violence, and objects such as the car, the airplane, and the industrial city. As you can see in this painting as well, there are buildings, there are wheels, then there are pipes. Then so it is depicting, because this was a time when a lot of inventions were taking place. For example, uh, yeah, a lot of inventions were taking place. The airplane, radio, television, all of these things were very new. So जब भी कुछ नया होगा, अब जैसे AI अगर आ रहा है दुनिया में, तो अब हमारे लिटरेचर में भी और हमारे ह्यूमैनिटीज के रिसर्च में भी AI and digital narratives has found its space. So whenever something new will happen, it will seep into literature as well. For example, in Mrs. Dalloway, you see the car passing, you see the airplane making advertise uh, yeah, making those signs to advertise something. So elements of futurism are also there. Of course, time is an important element, and the understanding of time also changed. Inner time, outer time, वो psychologically क्योंकि चीजें बदल गई थी, all of those concepts also became important. But for now, just see if these four things are clear to you, and how these four painting techniques are also connected to modernist literature. First one being Dadaism, the challenging the conventions of what is called art. Second is surrealism, which is an expression of the unconscious along with expression of the subconscious along with the conscious. The third being cubism, which is multiplicity of perspectives being integrated, and the fourth one being futurism, which is the depiction of innovations and advancements that took place in that age in art. Everything's clear till now? Are you able to understand? I hope that this helped you like undertake a nuanced understanding of the modernist age. Yes. Does someone want to say something? Sudhansh? Was it by mistake?
Ma'am, when you were talking about surrealism, uh, am I audible to you?
Yeah, you're audible.
Ma'am, when you were talking about surrealism, the most prominent feature of surrealism that seemed to be was the impact of subconscious mind along with the conscious mind.
Yeah.
But if you observe closely, then literally every work of art is a product of subconscious mind along with conscious mind, something that Harold Bloom talks about in his Anxiety
Yeah.
of Influence. So don't you believe that this feature, although it is the most prominent feature, starts holding a lesser value than it does?
In modernist literature, you mean?
Yes, ma'am.
I would say that it is that texts become more aware of this feature, that they're becoming more reflexive. Now they know that what they're expressing is the subconscious. Firstly, maybe before this thing they were happening, but they were not aware of it. Now it is an aware decision of including both.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Moving on, let's see, do we have? Yes, important characteristics. These are, of course, if you've read Peter Barry, these are things that you must have on your tips when you're talking about modernism. We'll discuss each point. First one is a new emphasis on impressionism and subjectivity, on how we see rather than what we see. So let's talk about the first point first. What is impressionism and what is subjectivity? Impressionism is a movement that originated in painting. Yes, anybody? Monet being one of the finest examples of impressionism. Again, it is a way of expressing rather than, it's you've seen the movie जाने दिया जाने था, उसमें there's a bit play that game, what this, तो हर कोई अलग तरीके से देखता है। पेड़ को पेड़ की ऑब्जेक्टिव रियलिटी क्या है, वो पेड़ है, उसका बाल है, उसके लीव्स हैं, उसका कुछ उसको साइंटिफिक नेम होगा, उसका कुछ प्रॉपर्टीज होंगी, लेकिन सब्जेक्टिवली people might do it differently. Everybody will see something different in it. Again, explaining the objective reality is that
Ma'am, let it in another level.
Okay, it's a bit too much. But were you able to understand everything till now about modernism? Hope modern is clear to you. Yeah. Okay, so let's we'll now be taking two examples so that we are it's absolutely clear to us forever and we won't ever forget it. Shobana, you want to say something?
Yeah, can you hear me? I have a question, but I'll ask later because if the presentation is left, khatam kar lena, I'll ask later.
I think you can because it's just two examples and then I'll be showing how modernist ideas and things are reflected in literature. Yeah, you can ask.
So, like a lot of things which are present in modernist literature are also present in postmodernist literature, right? Because beginning theory, maybe when you read theory, tab to you can, distinguish. But literature, mein, how do you distinguish? Because metafiction is like something which is present in both modernism and postmodernism. So if someone asks you this, what will you say? What will be the?
That's
Is
very
it just the time
good.
period? Yeah, yeah, that's my
It's
question.
just that you have to, you will see that there is a sense of celebration in postmodernist texts, and in modernist texts there is a sense of lamentation about this breakdown of tradition and convention. They are more, they revel more in this, breaking away from things. See, this is rather absurd, rather experimental, but ये जो tone और strain of lamentation है वो थोड़ा कम present होता है. Again, if you give me two texts, can I completely distinguish them and say अगर उनके सब label हटा के मुझे कि ये modern से postmodern है? I cannot say for sure. Maybe someone who specializes in the field can pick it up. So I'm not sure, of course, you can, I don't know how much you can tell when you're reading modernist and postmodernist literature. But postmodernist literature, I would say, again, ये जो बहुत gravitas है modernist literature में, वो थोड़ा उतना मुझे नहीं लगता है postmodernist literature में. Again, I might be wrong, but that is what I would say is major distinction for me. There are more experimental texts in modernist literature भी है experimental. There is a strain of, as I said, there is something, the unsettled feeling is there in all modernist literature. वो थोड़ा कम नजर आएगा postmodernist में. Again, for example, Italo Calvino, Cristina Pazzi, it's not the same as and I might be taken wrong about because authorial attention and all that, intervention, all that was important. But again, it could be an experiment that you can undertake. Maybe जैसे I research किया था, author का नाम सबको बता दो, first which are the basic postmodern modern text. Given you can see they are able to distinguish it. I cannot say for sure if they can. When you can undertake this. Okay, so
Okay, thank you.
coming back to alright, coming back to modernism, आपका हमने लिया है, अब हम देखेंगे check if we are able to by take two models as examples and then seeing कि हमें this they वो करते हैं या take first paragraph of the basic and then I've taken one the starting paragraph from Mrs. Galway. Okay, so let's first get out. It will be very quick, don't worry, we'll just find out now. I did not find a good way to put it here, so I'll just paste it. Okay, very low there. April is the coolest month, bringing violets out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, starting dull roots with spring rain. Just notice how prosaic it is. It was already very prosaic. It does not follow any kind of rhyme scheme. It's not the conventional poetry that you've seen till now. Winter kept us warm, covered in earth and forgetful snow, feeling rich and alive with fresh shivers. Summer surprised us, coming to the sun, December busy. With a shower of rain, we stopped in the cold land and went on in sunlight in Bob garden and drank coffee and talked for an hour. This one, and when we were children, sitting at the couch with my cousins, he took me out on a sled. I was frightened. He said, "Marie, Marie, hold on tight." And down we went. In the mountains, there you stay free. I read much of the night and go south in winter. So observations for anyone who has already studied it. How does this qualify as modernistic? What are the characteristics of modernism that we see here? One that I told you already, that is very like prose. What else?
Ma'am, ma'am, there is an allusion in the very first line.
Yes, there's an illusion, there's intertextuality. It has a fragmented structure, absolutely. Multiple all